about 6.5 years ago. I mean, I talk to her regularly, but she called me to tell me about, she said, you should go and check out this place called Agape. They just opened it up. And she says, I really think that you'll really like it. You know, you'll resonate with it. So I came on that Sunday, and Robert Pomonis was, this is when we were in Oakland on Telegraph Avenue. And Robert Pomonis was there greeting. And he had a big smile on his face, and he welcomed me. And to this day, I will never forget that. He is such a love and light, and he made me feel so welcomed. So I came through the doors. The place was so vibrant, so alive. You know, it was like the place was packed. And I walked in and I was blown away with the love and energy that was radiating in that room. And it still is to this day. And so Reverend Verona was speaking, and she was doing the burning bowl. And what happened is, you know, she started talking about classes, and she was offering a class on prosperity. And I said to myself, I'm coming. You know, I didn't know what I was in for, but I said, I'm going, I'm taking this class. So, but I have to tell you, it was overwhelming when I came in here. The love that exuded from each and every one. It blew me away. It really did. And so I took that first class. I started going to class, and I didn't know anybody, but you know, I kept showing up. And Robert had sign-up sheets to do service, to be a greeter. And I said to myself, I'm going to become a greeter because it's a great way for me to meet people and to get to know people. And, you know, so I signed up to do that. And I started taking these classes. Now, I didn't know what I was in for. I mean, seriously. And so I started taking these classes, and I started to see that I was changing. My thinking was changing. I was changing. I was changing spiritually, emotionally, and physically. And I liked what I was becoming and who I was. And, you know, during these classes, I learned to, you know, let go of all these stories and beliefs. And it was like a whole new world opened up for me. And so what happened is I kept taking the classes, and I knew, um, you know, that I just wanted to keep growing and changing. But I also knew, you know, I wanted to be of more of service, because Agape had given me so much that no amount of money could give me what I feel today. And it wasn't out there, it was in here. And so I wanted to share a story about a call that I received from God. Um, so it was, you know, I want to say maybe 10 years ago or whatever. I don't remember. But I was doing meditation one day, and so God asked me, I'm in 12-step program, and God asked me to start a meeting in Oakland. And I was like, you crazy? I mean, I wasn't doing this. I said, you know, I was like, forget this voice. I don't want to hear this. So I just kind of like, you know, forgot about it. You know, I was like, I wasn't telling anybody about it or anything. I wasn't telling my best friend. And so, you know, but then I kept doing my meditation every day, and it kept coming up. So I said, I better listen. I better listen. So I talked to someone and I said, I received this call from God to start this meeting in Oakland. And so she says, well, are you going to do it? And I said, yeah, I have to, because I just keep getting nudged to do this. And so I took action, and it was just so easy. Everything flowed so easily and effortlessly. It was like 1, 2, 3. I called the hospital. They said they had a room. I said, well, when can I start? They said, you can start on Saturday, that same week. And I was like, oh, no, we're not ready. I'm not ready, you know, but but that's how easy it was for me, because when God is directing the show, it's easy. And when I'm running the show, it gets all complicated. So so I kept, I had gone to other New Thoughts services, and I knew a practitioner prayed, and I also knew that they did a lot of service. And I was sitting at service one Sunday, and God spoke to me and said, you need to become a practitioner. And I didn't question it. I just went up to, I think it was Reverend Joan at the time, and I said, I got this call, or it might have been Reverend Verona. And I said, what do I need to do? And they said, they had to look and see what classes I had taken. But, that's when it really started, and they told me what I needed to do. So I I realized that I had an epiphany the other day when I was writing this paper, and I realized that the call to become a practitioner, yes, I answered that, but the call really came years ago from my best friend when she told me about Agape. And you just never know how the call is going to reach you. And I feel so grateful and so blessed. And the other thing that happened when I came here, my senses were pretty dull. And but now, they're alive. And I'm grateful that, I can hear, I can see, and I can feel. And so to me, the call to become a practitioner is a sacred gift I received. And I'm so grateful for Reverend Joan, Reverend Verona, and all the practitioners, and to each of you in this beloved community of love and light. I am home and so blessed for answering the call. Speak, God. I love to listen to your voice. See, God, here I am.
Woo! How about that? Let's give some love to Lucy. Oh, beautiful. Yeah. So the next practitioner that I would like to introduce is Arlene Hairston, also a new practitioner, class of 2023. And he is going to be joining us virtually. You may know Arlene from his performances. Oh, he is just I don't even know, a magician on those singing bowls.
Wow.
He also is a spiritual leader at Heart Consciousness Church. He is a healer, and he is a deep and loving soul. So I'd like to introduce Arlene.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Don, for that beautiful introduction. And Well, let's hear it for Lucy again. That was amazing. Thank you. I am so honored to be able to stand here in front of you today as an Agape licensed spiritual practitioner. It's such an honor to be in this sacred order of Agape licensed spiritual practitioners. I first discovered Agape by attending Center of Spiritual Living down in Santa Rosa. One day I went to that service and they had a concert, and these people came walking down the aisles singing The Spirit of God is Upon Me. It was the Agape choir visiting and being led by Ricky Byers Beckwith. And I tell you, that day just changed my life. And people told me about East Bay Church of Religious Science down in Oakland. You got to go down there. And so I did. It was 2.5 hours away from my house, a 5-hour round trip, sometimes 6, depending on the weather. But I started attending that church there and going to revelations. I started going to my first revelation back in 2008. And the first time I heard Michael Bernard Beckwith, I was not only blown away, I said, that is the consciousness. That is the consciousness I want to be in all of the time. And I just started taking one class after another, starting back in 2008, and continuously growing and expanding. And more importantly, practicing, not just taking it in, but practicing it in my everyday life to see if it really works and how it really works. And once I discover that things really work in real life, I share it. I share it with my spiritual community. I'm a minister at Heart Consciousness Church up in Northern California. I share everything that I learned. And I started finding out that these principles do truly work all of the time. And what that did for me was help me be empowered when oh God, these last few decades, so many things have happened. And I was able to be a solid rock for my community. It didn't take me down. I mean, we had wildfires completely destroy our whole community, and had to rebuild from that. But I was blessed. I called Agape right away when I heard about the fire. My house miraculously survived, and I was able to be a rock for my community as we started to rebuild. We have rebuilt, and we're still rebuilding. But what I'm really saying is that practicing these spiritual principles and being in community is just so important. And one of the beautiful things about classes is that you do feel like you're in community. You usually get a prayer partner when you're in a class, and you hear what's going on in others' lives and they hear what's going on in yours. And all of a sudden, you're part of this great community. You're no longer alone. And we hold each other up. When someone's going down through something, we can hold them. We've got you. And that's just an amazing thing. So when I was asked to be on the board of trustees for Agape Bay Area, I answered that call, and have been on the board ever since. What I wanted to also talk about, also one of the main important things that really happened was Reverend Joan. I never had felt so loved and seen by a being as Reverend Joan saw me. And she just saw my potential. I had and have really big visions and really big dreams. And I knew that she could hold those dreams with me. So I started taking visioning with her, private visioning sessions and counseling sessions. And my life just kept expanding and expanding and expanding and expanding. Today, it continues to expand, and I can have faith in that. One of the things that I wanted to make sure that I get to say, and I think someone's going to signal me when my time's up, right? Because I can go on. Is I'm not sure if everybody really realizes what the vows are that we took when we agreed to become Agape licensed practitioners. And these vows are so powerful. So I just wanted to mention them and what they mean to me in my life. The first one is we center ourselves daily and through meditation and spiritual mind treatment. That has been a practice actually of mine for at least 33 years now, to every single day to wake up and be centered in spirit before I get out of bed and before I walk through my day. I want to be connected to source, so I meditate at the beginning of every day. About 33 years ago, I think one day I had been meditating, and then one day I felt like, oh my God, I'm late. I got to go. And I just jumped up out of bed and got dressed and went out into my day. And I said, I am never, ever, ever doing that again. It was a horrible day. And ever since that, I have meditate and pray every single morning before I get up and start my day. It gives me something to hang on to, and also gives me guidance. I ask for guidance. What is your idea for yourself as my life today? And then I can follow that guidance on a daily basis. To behold I call it God essence, the fullness of the God essence in all, as all. It's a much nicer world when we can walk through the world beholding the God essence and everything. Sometimes it may seem a little bit difficult to do with some people, but I keep clearing my mind because it kind of has to do a little bit with forgiveness too. If I don't see the essence of God, then I'm seeing something else, and I have to forgive that, or I just hold that in. It hurts me more than it hurts anybody else. And also it's comforting when I can clear my mind and actually see, oh yes, God is present right here in this and everything. Even through tragedies, you can look up and say, well, the sun still came up today, right? And over the years, as things grow back from fires and stuff, you see, oh, life just keep rejuvenating itself. So that's the presence. So turning away from the appearance and really turning into the center of spirit really helps on a daily basis. To serve the God essence through teaching, healing, and revealing in the truth. And of course, in Miracles, it says, teach what you want to learn. So once I learn something and know that it really works, I want to share it. I want like-minded people around me to be uplifted and to be living it. And it's very healing. It's very healing to be able to be a healing presence. Once one is healed, that radiation is there. And one of the things that I found during our training as an Agape licensed spiritual practitioner is once I've answered that call and was willing to be healed and healing, people were sent to me. And when they were sent to me, I knew why they were being sent to me, and I was able to be there, for them. And it wasn't just me in a human form, it was the surrender of spirit working in, through, and as me, knowing that I was an open, clear channel, that it could work in, through, and as me. And so the truth was always revealed once I surrendered and let this force speak through me. That was one of the beauties of the training. We start realizing first that it wasn't us, that I surrender. I surrender. And once I surrender, this force works through me, blessing whatever needs to be blessed at the time, but bringing truth into reality. And in these days and times, that is so important. I find in my performances now, it's so important. All these people that are coming to it, we lift our vibration together so that there's a vibration of peace and harmony on the planet with so many things going on. That was one of the first things I asked myself when I came into Agape Bay Area, is with all of the horrible news that I was hearing and everything, is like, what am I supposed to do with this? What am I supposed to do with this? And the answer was, be in community with other like-minded people and raise the vibration on the planet together. Alone, you can't do it, but together, I can. And so I dwell in, this is another one of our vows, which is one that I dwell in love, unconditional love. I dwell in peace. If I'm out of peace, I sit back down, and I'm blessed to be in nature in this beautiful mountaintop home. And live in spiritual community. I just find my way back to peace, and I'm grateful. Even if it doesn't seem like everything's going right, I find something to be grateful for. It shifts my consciousness when I go back into gratitude. It shifts me back into that oneness. So I dedicate myself to continuously unfold. And I'm going to close with this practice and this prayer that I got from A Course of Love, which we have classes and meetings on this at our every week on Friday. This one has been very powerful for me, so I say this every morning as part of my prayer. And I'm going to use the word Christ, but you can use Buddha or the God essence or anything that works for you. I am no longer my personal self who is separate and alone. I am my Christ self. I dwell in unity. My identity is certain. This is the truth. I am not less than I once was, but more. Where once I was empty, I am now full. Where once I dwelled in darkness, I now dwell in the light. Where once I had forgotten, I now remember who I am. I go forth to live as who I am in the world, to make cause and effect one, and unity with the source of love in all creation, my reality. And I add to that, I honor my commitment to anchor heaven here on earth. Namaste. Thank you, loved ones, for letting me share with you today, or whatever time it is when you're watching this, and for being with me. We're going to now introduce the next speaker, who is a long-term Agape practitioner, and she's been quite a rock for our community also. And it's always a delight to see her and to hear the wonderful things that she's doing in the community with children and people. And so I'm introducing our beloved Bonnie Sita. Thank you, Bonnie, for being here. Namaste.
Let's hear it for Arlene, such a beautiful being who is giving so much to our community, and we love him so very much. The call comes and you answer. Then what? Don't hang up. Don't hang up, even though you might be on hold for a long time, for a really long time, listening to the silence, or maybe it's the wait music that you don't even like. You know, it's like some annoying music, or maybe it's some beautiful music that you're dancing to a little bit, or maybe it's that very annoying voice prompt. Press 1 for this, press 2 for that. You just want the answer. The answer, please give me the answer. 12 years of being a practitioner, sometimes on hold, sometimes listening, sometimes dancing to some beautiful music. Then sometimes pressing those buttons frantically. When am I going to get to my answer? So I've been a practitioner for 12 years. I was class of 2012 OCSL with my beloved John, who's sitting there. Hi, John. And some other beautiful beings who I still communicate with and check in on them. And Reverend Joan was our teacher. I followed her here to Agape. And now I'm an Agape licensed practitioner. So I'm still practicing. I'm still listening to those long periods of silence on the phone while I'm trying to get the answer. And when we were visioning for this particular practitioner service, the thought that came to me was, how do I bring my spirituality into my everyday life? Because that's the question I've been exploring for myself, for my own growth. And, you know, one of the things I did when I became a practitioner is I started changing my language, and I stopped asking the question, why? Because the question why is coming from a victim place. It was for me. Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening again? Why? And I started asking how. How can I bring my spirituality into my daily life? But it occurred to me that there is a deeper why. And this was actually while I was working on this talk and talking with a friend. There's a hidden why. And it's a why that doesn't make me a victim. It's a why that unifies me with spirit and it empowers me. Why did spirit choose this experience from me? Why did I, as spirit, choose this experience for myself? What is in this experience for me that can grow me, that is for my good? And so I believe that life is always pressuring me and pressuring maybe you to do things that are difficult. Do you notice it isn't always that we get exactly what we prayed for? Sometimes we get a little surprise, right, Matt? And why do we get those surprises? And I believe that's so I can surrender my pride and my ego and just surrender and just know what I know and to be strong in what I know. And sometimes I just have to be willing to be willing. And sometimes I just have to, a few weeks ago, I said, I'm carrying Reverend Michael's faith. I don't have any faith of my own right now. I have it, but I don't know where it is. But I know that Reverend Michael knows, and I'm just going to go with him. And it helps. And it got me through. So I'm a practitioner now, and I was going to share the vows. It's interesting that Arlene read all the vows. I was going to do that, but then these other thoughts came to me that I wanted to share, and I have a very short talk today. So I just want to mention two of the vows that are important to what I'm speaking about right now, which is carrying spirituality into my everyday life, which is pretty chaotic. I work with kids. I have 15 employees. I got a pretty full and busy life that's got a lot of surprises every day. To center ourselves through daily meditation and prayer. And, you know, I'm one of these people who sits in meditation going, when is this going to be over? What am I having for breakfast? What do I have to do today? Okay. But every once in a while, like yesterday, when I was triggered about some things that happened and was sitting in meditation, grace comes in. And the phone call is for me. And it's actually speaking to me. And so in the midst of movement and chaos, keep stillness inside of you. Deepak Chopra. So I believe the meditation, it's a day, it's a moment to moment practice. It isn't just those 20 minutes when I'm sitting trying to quiet my mind and stop thinking. It's when all of a sudden in the middle of working with a child, I take a breath and I go, this child is a beloved being of God. And to behold the fullness of God in all is all. This is me taking responsibility for my experience. This is me respecting every experience and every person who comes into my life and honoring myself no matter what I'm doing, even if I'm getting mad or getting triggered. So I'm just respecting that that is God speaking to me through the prompts, those annoying voice prompts. Press this now, do this now, go here now. You got to go through this one now. Yes, God. Yes. I'm growing through it, as Reverend Michael likes to say. I'm growing through it. And I'm finally getting to the treasure that was hidden in full view. Because life is a treasure hunt where the treasure is hidden, like right there. It's right there. It's right there. So that brings me closer to the unconditional love, the peace, and the gratitude that I choose to focus on as an act of self-love. So I am really grateful to be a practitioner. I am grateful to welcome our new practitioners who bring so much to this community. And I know that each and every practitioner is like a little snowflake, each one individual. We're not making a snowstorm, but we're making something really beautiful, and we're changing the life through our consciousness. For this, I am grateful. I'm so glad I answered the phone, and I'm so glad I'm still there listening. Thank you. Thank you for listening.